Hey guys, Pierluigi here, and in this video we're going to create this website UI design using Figma. Now we're going to cover all sorts of different workflows and techniques which I also cover in my Figma course. But now, without further ado, let's jump right into the video. Alright, so let's get started and let's create the frame, and we're going to go with desktop, which is 1440 pixel width. And we're going to double click on the name. We're going to rename it to 1. So, all right, let's go ahead and let's add the text as the very first thing. So I'm just going to enter a sample logo over here, and we're going to use Montserrat, which is a free Google Web font, which you can download again for free on Google's website. Simply Google Montserrat and you're going to find it right away. All right, so let's make it semi-bold, and that is looking okay so far. Now let's create a smaller version and navigation. So we're going to go over here. We're going to start writing the top level elements of the navigation. So we're going to have about, services. We're going to add the portfolio, and also a contacts. So as you might see, there is some inconsistency in between the gaps. We can solve that in one click by using the distribute horizontal spacing, and there we go. Now let's make this regular, and let's bring these guys over here, and we're going to create also another element, which is going to be a button, which is slightly separated from the main menu, and we're going to add it over here, and let's make this button black. All right, so far so good, and I think we're good to go when it comes to this button. Maybe we want to give it a more rounded shape, maybe not. Let's just keep it as it is right now, and I'm just going to make it either medium or semi-bold, just to really make it stand out a little bit more. And yeah, I think we're good to go. So let's duplicate this text right here, and we're going to write the headline. So creators and innovators, and let's increase the font size, maybe around these lines, and there we go. Let's make it bold, and let's also add a little bit more of a line height, and we are good to go. Now, one more thing I want to do before proceeding is to start adding the layout grid, which is going to be in columns. I'm going to make it in 12 columns, just like Bootstrap. And here we go. Let's bring it over here. I'm going to add this element, and let's bring this one over here as well. And all right, so far so good. We're also going to add a sub headline. And for some reason, I really dislike the color of this column, so let's just tone it down a little bit. And that will do. All right. Now I'm going to use the text shortcut with the app a text, which I always have on in my computer. And let's do this. Let's bring it up a little bit, and we're going to make this a bit more gray, and let's also group this element, and let's bring it over here. All right, so far so good. You can hear the birds singing in the background. It's an amazing spring day. Used to be very cold here in Italy in these past days, but today is perfect. All right, so far so good. And now we're going to bring in an amazing series of assets from an illustration pack from UI8.net, and I'm going to leave you the link in the description. Basically, it's a Sapiens character builder, and it's an amazing kit which I highly recommend you to check out. Now, as you see, I have the unlimited pass, but you can also get it individually, and it's available for both Sketch and Figma. So I'm going to leave the link in the description, and for the time being, let's go ahead and let's start adding the actual illustration right here. So, all right, so far so good. Now let's increase the size just a little bit. I think I exported the entire frame with like all the layers, and for some reason Sketch is taking a moment, but yeah, let's just bear in it. Let's go ahead and let's increase the height of this web design. And what we're gonna do here is we're going to add a section called scroll down. Let's center this and make to center it further. Now let's use nucleoicons from nucleoicons.com, and let's find an arrow which could work well in this specific context. So let's go over here, and we're probably going to go with this icon right here, since it looks pretty good. And let's tone down the opacity just a little bit. Let's make this a level of 2. And here we go. All right, so far so good. Now let's start adding some elements. I'm going to use Shift plus Option key, and I'm going to add the subheadline. This is likely going to be an H2, so we're going to make it smaller compared to the H1. And let's bring this one up, and also let's cut a little bit over here. And all right, so far so good. And let's make it just 1 pixel smaller, just so that it fits perfectly over here. We're also going to add a section here, which is going to be, let's just call it 1. We can call it area 1. Let's make it semi-bold. Let's also add a little bit of a distancing between one letter and the other, and that is definitely going to help us differentiating it. And all right, so far so good. Let's bring this one here. Now we're going to grab one of these other elements. Let's go with this illustration. Oh, this illustration looks really cool, and probably going to make it bigger. Yep, something around these lines will work pretty well. Now let's increase the height once more. Select all of this, just make sure that it all fits perfectly, and we're going to essentially duplicate this right here. Yep, area 2. All right, so we got the text for the next and upcoming section, and we're going to go over here and copy this illustration as well. All right, so let's make this illustration just a little bit bigger, and let's bring it all the way to the right. Okay, so far so good. So I'm going to bring all of this below, And then the very next thing is I'm going to duplicate this section right here. We're going to create the third and final section for this site. So let's go over here and let's mention something around the lines of you're unique in our approach to business. And let's add some more lorem ipsum text, and let's grab another section of it just to differentiating it a bit. And there we go. So I'm going to paste one more time, and here we have our illustration. Let's increase the size just a bit as we've done with the previous one. And then we're going to be pretty much set when it comes to the starting phase of this design here. All right, so far so good. We have our basic landing page design. Now we're going to finish up with a very simple call to action and a footer. So let's do that right here. We're going to have a big rectangle, which is going to be a black rectangle right here. And let's duplicate this. And let's go ahead and increase the size. Let's also leverage one of these elements. We're simply going to get started with your first quote today. And we're going to center this, and we're going to make it span across all of this section here. And let's go ahead and just add some text. We're going to bring it over here. All right, so far so good. Center this. Let's enlarge this one. Center it again. And let's go ahead. Let's grab this element. Let's bring it here. We're going to invert the colors, essentially. All right, so far so good. Now what we're gonna do is we're essentially going to bring this one up just a bit more, and we're also going to remove the grid, or actually just not make it visible. Just double check if everything is spot on, and I think it is. Maybe let's just move this footer just a bit more towards the bottom section. But overall, this is looking pretty interesting and pretty good. So yeah, there you go. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. And I want to remind you that on my YouTube channel, I have over 300 videos. Actually, I think it's over 400 at this stage, on UI UX design, software tutorials for Figma, Sketch, and Adobe XD, and much more. So if you're interested in learning from a designer with over 8 years of experience, feel free to check out my channel. And now without further ado, I'll leave you to the next video.